There are certain things many seniors say at a doctor's visit, without ever realizing those words are quietly working against them. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the biggest ones, what they sound like, why they matter, and what to say instead, because this isn't really about saying the wrong thing. It's about how small, ordinary phrases can completely change the way your doctor understands what's happening with you. I've been a nurse for over 30 years. And if there is one thing that experience has taught me above everything else, it's that communication is not just a soft skill. It is a clinical tool. Your doctor isn't with you around the clock. They're not watching you sleep, watching you struggle up the stairs, watching you sit down slowly and hope no one notices. They are relying entirely on what you tell them. So when certain phrases slip into the conversation, even casually, even innocently, they can minimize your symptoms, confuse the picture, or quietly delay your care. Let's start with the one that almost everyone says, "I'm fine, I understand it." It's almost a reflex at this point. But here's the problem. "I'm fine" tells your doctor absolutely nothing. And I've sat in enough rooms to know that someone can say, "I'm fine," and then, 2 minutes later, describe pain, exhaustion, dizziness, and nights without sleep. That is not fine. That is a clinical picture. That is information your doctor needs. I remember one patient clearly. She walked in, smiled, said she was fine. And as we kept talking, she mentioned, almost as an afterthought, that she'd been getting dizzy nearly every single day. She just didn't think it was worth bringing up. That kind of detail is exactly what gets missed when everything gets quietly filed under fine. What you can say instead, "I'm okay, but I've been having this," or "I mostly feel all right, but something's been bothering me." One small shift. Suddenly your doctor has something real to work with. Then there's this one, and it genuinely frustrates me every time I hear it. "It's probably nothing, but..." And what follows is something that absolutely should be evaluated. Here's what happens when you lead with that framing. You've already done half the doctor's job for them, and not in a good way. When you minimize your own symptoms out loud, your doctor may unconsciously mirror that minimization, not out of carelessness, but because you've already signaled that it isn't urgent. And I've watched that dynamic delay diagnoses more times than I can count. What you should say instead, "I'm not sure if this is serious, but here's what I've been noticing." You're sharing the same information. But now you're not dismissing it before it even has a chance to be heard. This next one is the one that breaks my heart a little. "I didn't want to bother anyone." I hear this especially when symptoms have been going on for days, weeks, sometimes longer, and I take this one personally because this is almost exactly what happened to my own mother. I was 16 years old when she ended up in the hospital with an ovarian cyst the size of a grapefruit. She had waited. She hadn't wanted to make a fuss. Let me be very clear about something. You are not bothering your doctor. That is their job. That is the entire point of the appointment. And I have seen too many cases where someone waited and waited, hoping things would resolve on their own. And by the time they finally spoke up, the problem was significantly harder to manage. What you can say instead, "This has been going on for a while and I wanted to get it checked." That's it, direct, simple, respectful of everyone's time. And if possible, say something the moment you first notice it, before it has time to grow into something more complicated. Now this next one sounds perfectly polite on the surface. But it can quietly work against you. "Whatever you think, doctor." The problem with that phrase is that it removes you from the conversation entirely. And good medical care is never a one-way broadcast. Your doctor brings the clinical knowledge. You bring something irreplaceable, your lived experience, your values, your priorities, your daily reality. The best outcomes I've witnessed always involved patients who stayed in the room, conversationally speaking. I had a patient who said, "Whatever you think is best," throughout an entire consultation. And on the surface, she seemed cooperative, easygoing, grateful. But as the options were laid out, we slowly realized there were things that mattered deeply to her, things that would have genuinely changed the treatment plan, that she had never mentioned. Because she had already handed the wheel over completely. What you can say instead, "What are my options?" Or, what would you recommend and can you help me understand why? You're not being difficult. You're being a participant in your own care. Those are very different things. And then there's the one I hear constantly in telehealth. I Googled everything. This one actually cuts both ways. Some people arrive with a list of 5 self-diagnosed conditions, and their guard already up. Others say nothing at all, even though they've spent 3 nights down a rabbit hole of worst-case scenarios, and they're genuinely scared. Here's the honest truth. Your doctor already knows you've been searching. Everyone does. And it's completely okay to say, I looked this up and it made me wonder about this. That opens a door. It starts a real conversation. And it's far better than silent anxiety on one side and defensive medicine on the other. And finally, I forgot. This one is quietly one of the most common and costly things that happens in a doctor's appointment. You sit down, the clock is ticking, and everything you plan to bring up just dissolves. You walk out, drive home, and somewhere on the way you think, why didn't I mention that? Those forgotten details matter. Write things down before you go. Even just a handful of bullet points, symptoms, questions, concerns, anything that's been nagging at you. Your appointment is your time. Use it fully. And if you're not sure where to start, here's a simple framework to build your notes around. What am I feeling? When did it start? Has it changed? And what is it that worries me about it? That alone gives your doctor a dramatically clearer picture of what's happening inside your life, not just inside your body. Here's the insider truth. The more specific you are, the more accurately your doctor can help you. Precision in language leads to precision in care. It really is that connected. The bottom line is this. Your doctor is not just treating a condition. They are responding to the information you give them. And small, deliberate changes in how you communicate can lead to better understanding, faster decisions, and care that actually fits your life. That's why I put together a free guide, What to Say at Your Next Doctor's Visit, to help you stay organized and walk into that room prepared to advocate for yourself like you deserve to. There's a link below. Download it, keep it, use it, and I want to hear from you. What's something you've said at a doctor's appointment that you later wished you'd handled differently? Or something you weren't sure how to bring up at all? Leave it in the comments, because I promise you, you are not the only one.